DJ Lil create vibes now.
Welcome to another episode of the Get a Love Like Mine podcast. We are your humble hosts. I'm Keisha Amos. This is my beautiful husband, Sam Amos. This is season 2, episode 14. We hope that you enjoyed the first part of this marriage series, Marriage 101, which was based on a young lady who was having issues and asked for advice. So today we're doing Marriage 202. You want to give them a little recap of Marriage 101?
We went through a few different topics. One of the main ones that I think is huge that folks need to try to keep in mind on a daily basis is that you need to view the two of you as one.
Yeah.
And, when you see the two of you as one unit, it makes it hard for Satan to come in and cause division. It doesn't mean he's not gonna try, or all your problems are just gonna fall by the wayside. But
the weapons will form, but they won't prosper.
Right, and so the two of you view yourself as one, function as one under the same roof, and it will definitely make a strong bond between the two of y'all, and make it hard to cause division and confusion in your relationship. Also, I don't know if we really touched on the respect issue, but I think it's a big thing to try to respect your spouse in the way you would want to be respected. So just a few things that will help you mentally to carry on, or some things that you can change the way you view y'all's relationships, because we don't need anyone to point out our faults. Everybody, we can make a long list of what the other person's doing wrong, and vice versa. I'm sure they can tell you everything you're doing wrong. So just another one of those mindset things. I have a close friend of mine that works with me. His whole persona is about mindset. If you can change your mindset, you can change the whole course of your life. So try to keep these things mentally in the front. Try to.
Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on.
She's ready to eat. We're ready. We've only eaten breakfast, so. But anything you want to add to?
I think we didn't discuss, or we didn't go in depth into respect, but it goes without saying, really, if you see your spouse as yourself, if you love your spouse as yourself. I think you talked about, you don't talk down to yourself, you don't put hands on yourself. That kind of goes when you have an amount of self-respect. You can, and you see your spouse as yourself, you can't help but to respect your spouse. I see a lot of people ask the question, would you rather have love or respect? And me personally, I feel like respect is more important. Only because I feel like if you respect me, you will love me anyway. That's a love. We always say this: love is an action word. Loving me, I mean, it almost goes hand in hand. If you love me, you should respect me, and if you respect me, you will love me. So respect is a big thing. We've talked before about not belittling your spouse in front of company. I mean, period, really, but more so in front of company. Choosing not to argue in front of other people. Can you imagine being on a double date with a couple, and then the other couple just goes out into this big drawn out argument, and then he starts saying, and that's why you do this, and she starts saying, well, that's why I found a streak in your underwear. And I mean, just all kind of, like, when I say respect your spouse, that's what I'm referring to. Don't be disrespectful to them. in front of other people. So, that kind of goes along with having that we are one mindset. But as we told you, today we're going to discuss ways to make your spouse's life better. Ways to not only make their life better, but to make yourself irreplaceable to them. And I'll let you give the first.
Well, for starters, I think one of the biggest things, well, they're all big to me.
Yeah.
Once you learn them. For starters, try to be considerate, which is kind of like piggybacking off of what we said about the respect thing. Mm-hmm. Be considerate of that other spouse, so that you don't want someone coming in and blasting the TV while you're trying to take a nap. So hopefully you don't come in and do that, so y'all don't have to have an argument about that, because here's where a lot of times those types of things go wrong. I may complain to you about when you came in and blasted the TV and I was taking a nap or I was on the phone or something. And in my eyes, you didn't see nothing wrong with what you did. But when I bring it to your attention, the way I brought it, then you can, well, remember the time when I was trying to sleep? And see, and then here we go with the back and forth. That's what we're trying to avoid. So to avoid, right, tit for tat, to avoid a recap of everyone's shortcomings, just try to be more considerate of your spouse, because one thing that we said a couple of episodes ago about love is love doesn't keep track of who does what wrong. So
doesn't keep a record.
It doesn't keep a record of who messed up, and so don't put yourself in that category. Everybody say forgive and forget. And, well, yeah, I can forgive you, but I may not forget. Okay, I understand that. Everybody's human. But you may not have forgot, but don't make a list and keep the list in your front pocket. so I can snatch it out at the exact right moment.
I think that being considerate is so important. Because, like, some of you guys know, my husband, he works the night shift. So I worked the night shift before, so I'm aware that when you work the night shift, your sleeping patterns are off because you sleep in the daytime. Your body, your biological clock it's not natural for a person to sleep in the daytime. So in order to sleep in the daytime, you have to be in a dark room. You have to literally have complete silence. So a lot of times with my husband, because I'm considerate of the fact that he works nights and he drives trucks, and I wouldn't want him to be sleepy while he's driving, I try to make our room kind of like an oasis where he can get sleep. And I try to tell the kids, like, don't come down here running and playing and making all that noise that's going to wake him up, because I know when I work the night shift, any little noise will wake me up. And my husband is the same way, because he knows how my brain is. Like, I'm always thinking. So if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll stay awake. I won't go back to sleep. If my brain turns on and I start thinking about something, then I'll just lay there and start thinking until I pray and God gives me the peace to go back to sleep. But because my husband knows my sleeping is easily disturbed, he has the same talk with the kids, like, make sure you're not up in the middle of the night waking up your mom, because he knows how important sleep is to me.
Even though they still do it.
Well, we can't talk about them being considerate. We talking about your spouse being considerate. And so that being considerate kind of goes hand in hand with knowing your spouse. Knowing who they are, how they are, what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, their favorite food, their favorite drink. My husband, I had asked him, what one of the ways that I make his life better. He said it was because I know him so well that I could go to any restaurant and I don't have to call him and ask, what do you want to eat? I can just order what I know he'll eat off the menu. He said you wouldn't come home with some spinach and and what did you say, spinach and what?
Artichoke dip.
Something that he's never eaten. And some people would look at that spinach and artichoke dip and like, that looks good, he should try it. Well, he's 52. He's not trying it. So I know him well enough to know not to bring new food to him. But I can order him whatever. Learning your spouse is just so integral, such a huge part of being able to coexist with your spouse. If you know that your spouse is not a morning person and you are, you can, and you're considerate, you can kind of cater yourself. Like if you want to wake up and play music, but you know your spouse is not a morning person, you might be considerate and say, well, I'll go upstairs and play my music, or I'll go in a room that's not going to wake him up if I turn my music on. Not turning on the light while they're asleep, or turning on the TV, starting the vacuum cleaner while they're asleep. I mean, these are the type of things I'm talking about. But when you learn your spouse and know them, you'll know, and vice versa, because he knows you're a morning person and he's not. He may wake up and try to be positive because you're positive, because you're up early and in a good mood. So he might, you might rub off on him.
Along that lines of learning the other person, like you said, it's a huge key to coexist, but also don't think that you're going to learn this person overnight in 6 months. And I'm not saying don't think you're going to, what I am saying is don't think you're going to learn this person and feel like, okay, well, I know enough about them. I've been around my wife for I don't know how many years, but there's still more to learn about her. Now, I know a lot, and I use those things in our relationship to be beneficial. But, it's never, I never get to a point, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to think, well, I know enough. I don't need to learn anymore.
We're people who evolve. Like we change over the years. I'm not the same person at 46 that I was at 26 or 36. Like I'm a different person. So you have to be open to learning your spouse as they grow. I hear a lot of couples say, oh, we grew apart because he changed. He's not the same like he was. Like he's not supposed to be. That nobody's supposed to be the same as they were as a teenager in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. If they're staying the same, something is wrong. Everyone should be changing. But as your spouse, you're supposed to be open to growing with them, learning who they're becoming. I think that's really important because a lot of you guys know I became an attorney in my 40s. When I met my husband, when I first met him, I think I was 23. I didn't like him or anything, but that's when we first started working at the same place. I was 23. At 23, he never would have known I was going to be a lawyer. I didn't even know I was going to be a lawyer in my 40s. So as you grow, especially couples who get together when they're young, you have to be open to your spouse growing and changing, evolving as they get older.
Also, realize that people grow and change. Where the tendencies you might have had when you were in your 20s, once you get in your 40s, don't be the spouse that holds on to
what you used to do.
Yeah, what you were when you were in your 20s. Here's a perfect example. Your spouse may have loved hanging out at the club They may have been, they probably could drink 2 or 3 White Russians back to back to back, and that's just their thing. But once they get in their 40s and you're not really paying attention to realize, well, this person doesn't drink that much anymore. So y'all go to dinner or something, and you get to ordering those White Russians, and you're looking at them like, man, I ain't drank those, and I don't even drink those like that anymore. But and then here I go saying, well, there was a time you used to. Well, yeah, I'm not saying I didn't used to do anything. I'm talking about now.
Right.
But if you're not paying attention, or you haven't learned that person, learn that, well, they aren't that person anymore just because at one time they were. That will be very beneficial for you to pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that same vein, I think you need to focus on the positive part of their change. When I started dating my husband, I was at a place in my life, it was really like a crossroad for me. Like, I had been married and divorced. I was a single mom. I was really trying to find myself. I was going through a time of where I would pray constantly, God, order my steps. I just didn't even know where I was supposed to be and where I was supposed to go. And I did things kind of like what you were saying when you were in your 20s and you drink 3 White Russians. Then you get a little older and you're hanging out with people and they're like, order up 3 White Russians. So I was doing things out of habit more so than out of desire. And being around my husband, well, my boyfriend at the time, it made me want to be better. It caused me to change and evolve, but in a good way. It's not like I went from I didn't drink in my 20s to got to my 30s and then started drinking all the time. Like, I really have gotten to a point where I don't drink too much. Like, I am what you call a social drinker. Like, we have alcohol in our home, but I don't drink it. I see people who like, I have to have a glass of wine every day. Now, I don't even like wine, number one, but the only thing I'll drink is like frozen drinks. If we have like a family gathering or a family dinner or something like that. So it's really social. I can literally drink maybe 3 times in a whole year. It's not every weekend like I see some people or every day. But I got to that point by being around my husband who doesn't drink. My husband doesn't drink at all. So it made me want to be better. It made me change. Then people on the outside, like my friends, might look at me like, since when you don't drink? You used to do all this. You used to do this. Well, I used to do a lot of things, but I don't do those things anymore. So I've changed. I've evolved. And instead of my husband focusing on, you drink so much, you drink too much, he focused on the positive. How alert or how attentive I was to him when I didn't drink. So I said all that to say, when your marriage, number one, you have to see each other as one and know each other, but you need to focus on the positive in your marriage, in your spouse. Like, if they come home from work, and I'm speaking to the ladies now, if your husband comes home from work and he wants to take his clothes off and get in the tub, and you walk in the bathroom and his clothes are on the floor, instead of you walking in and saying, the hamper is right there, like, you didn't have to leave your clothes on the floor, you could walk in and say, ooh, baby, you must have been working hard today. You must have had a long day. It's just a mindset, where you focus on the positive instead of the negative. And I'm not saying pick up his dirty clothes. You can. But he might literally pick them up when he's done. But instead of you giving him the opportunity you've come in like he's a child and said, why you got these clothes on the floor? You remember I talked to you guys about talking to your husband like you're talking to one of your kids. That's not the way. It goes back to the level of respect that I was speaking on. Like, he deserves more respect than that. And if, you give him the opportunity, he'll pick up his clothes. Surely he doesn't want to live in a house where his clothes all over the floor. But, some women are impatient. Men too. I'm not just going to put it on the women, but some people are impatient. But I feel like if you focus on the positive in your relationship instead of the negative, you'll get a much better outcome. Give your spouse compliments. Men, I'm not talking to just the men. Women, give your men compliments. Tell them how handsome they look. I used to use this as an example. If your husband goes to get a haircut, tell him how good he looks with his haircut. Because if you're at work complaining to your work husband about how your real husband has let himself go, like he won't shave, he won't take a shower, he won't do whatever, that's what you're focusing on. But instead, focus on the positive. On the time, at the time that he does get a haircut or does take a shower, snuggle up to him and tell him, "Oh, you smell so good, you look so good." Like, men need compliments just as much as women do. Focus on when he picks his clothes up off the floor. "Thanks, babe, because my back was hurting. I didn't really want to have to do that." Thank them when they do stuff, even though we look at it like this is common sense. Like, why would I have to thank him for doing that? Because you want him to feel appreciated. A lot of men have issues with feeling unappreciated in their marriage, feeling like the woman is so concerned about herself and her well-being and her journey that she doesn't take the time to see if he's okay. You know that saying, check on your strong friend? Sometimes you got to check on your husband and make sure he's good mentally. Because, I can only speak about black men because I've never dated anybody outside of my race. But black men go through a lot of trauma daily, just leaving the house and making it back home safely. So you want to be their peace when they get home. You don't want to be the reason that he's at Walmart walking down the magazine aisle wasting time because he doesn't want to come home. He's been off work for 2 hours, but he don't want to come home because he know as soon as he walk in, you're going to be saying, "Take them dirty clothes off and do this and do that." And you just, you need to focus on the positive things that he does. Thank you, babe, for going to work and making a living that's providing for all of us. Thank you for all that you do.
Positive energy, we hear it all the time, and it can really benefit your relationship. And this is one of the ways that we chose to use to say this is something that you can use to help make your spouse's life better. It'll also make your relationship better. We've all, I don't know, I would assume all of us have had supervisors that, I know I have, that if they can't come to you and say and point out what you did wrong, they won't even speak. They don't have nothing else to say. I only get joy out of telling you where you came up short, what you didn't do right. Don't be that person in your relationship. If you need to say what you need to say, all I'm telling you is the same amount of energy you use to point out what's wrong, don't forget to use that same amount of energy to point out the positive things also. Pointing out positive things, that's not, there's a lot of people that they struggle with that. I've dated women that she may have thought, I look good in blue, or she might have thought my haircut looked nice that day, but she would much rather tell it on the phone when I'm not around than to say it to me. And then so the day came when somebody would say, "Well, why, if you thought he looked nice, why didn't you tell him?" And she, well, I don't want him to get the big head and all that. Well, that mindset, mentality is focusing. It's not focusing on positive energy. That's negative. You had a perfect opportunity to inject some positivity into your relationship, and you chose not to for your own reason. And to make matters worse, there may be someone at the location where he's going. He's going to work, he's going to church, he may just be at the grocery store, and someone says, man, who cut your hair? They really did a nice job. That's all you had to say. But if you don't say it, don't forget somebody else will. Somebody else does not mind saying it, and they may not have ulterior motive or intention. They just may be good at pointing out, just, hey, I'm a positive person. I'm just going to bring some positive energy to this situation. There's nothing wrong with that. That will help your relationship out tremendously. I say this all the time. I have no problem coming down hard on the men. I'm a man. Once again, I can look back at the younger me, and I made a whole truckload of mistakes. Things I did, things I said, things I didn't do, things I should have said. We can go down the line. So here I am, ready to go in on men once again. This is my plight. This is how it goes. I don't have any problem talking to the men. So men need to understand this, that women put up with so much when it comes to us. You just need to understand that. It's going to be hard for you to see it in the beginning. A lot of times the men will say, well, she's just crazy. She act like this, she act like that. Well, that's probably because she's struggling with putting up with you. You're pushing her buttons, and this is the only way she knows how to respond and still try to be there and hold on to you. Like, she saw something in you, and she has put up with a lot. And I'm not saying this don't go both ways, but I'm going to let my wife speak on, the other side of it. I'm talking to the men and how much women put up with dealing with us as we go through life, making mistake after mistake. We can talk for hours on leaving the door open. I like you and I want to be with you, and I'm committed about 75, maybe 80%, but the door's still open just in case Beyonce finds me attractive with my new haircut. I want to be able to say, hey, I'm available. Guys, close the door and be all in with, it starts with a want to. Now, I got to the point where, because I've had the same mentality before, I got to the point where I realized I didn't want to be with anybody else. I don't care what they looked like. I don't care who they were, how much money they had, where they lived, where they worked, how big their house was. I don't care. Because if you sit and wait on or try to evaluate, everybody lining up everybody on a spreadsheet and see what you got, number one, you drive yourself crazy. You'll never find what you're looking for because you're forever moving them to the side to see who's behind them. But if you can get your mindset out of, I'm going to leave this door, God, just ajar, just a little bit, but you're not leaving it ajar on other things when it comes to her. You know what I'm saying? So my main thing is, look, these women put up with a lot when it comes to us because we mess up so much just by what comes out of our mouth, and we don't even know it. Now, I'm talking from an old man perspective. I can look back at mistakes I've made. I look at my friends' mistakes they made and things they said, and at the time, we didn't think nothing was wrong with it until you look at it now. And so I look at this analogy as, we've all seen a food commercial, Burger King. You got this burger on TV, and I promise I've never gone to a fast food place and the burger looked like the one that was on TV. I'm still waiting on that burger. But this is how women look at us. they see us as the burger that they got in the drive-thru. Now, I can put up with this burger because, you know, the lettuce may not look like the lettuce on TV, but I can deal with that. It's still a burger. Mm-hmm. Now, the meat may be a little burnt around the edges, but I'm still hungry. I may not eat the whole burger, but I still want some right now. If I open it up and there's an egg sandwich in there and I order burger, okay, yeah, I'm going to go take that back.
Right.
But just because it doesn't look like what was on TV, I can still work with this. That's how women are when they put up with us. They feel like, okay, he may not have it all together, but I can see the potential in him, so I'm going to hang around as long as I can in hopes that he gets his act together and someday become the burger that's on TV. You can do it. It's crazy, but y'all don't believe me. You can turn your own self into the TV burger. You can do it. But you're going to have to find a way to. I mean, there's going to be, you got to change the lettuce. Sometimes the burger might not have pickles on it. They might all be stacked on one side. Spread them pickles out, man. You want, every time you bite that burger, you want some pickle in it. I've seen the tomato where the tomato wasn't even ripe. It was half white. They sliced it up and put it on the burger anyway. Well, these are all the things in my mind that men, we constantly mess up. And it's okay, you know, nobody's perfect. We're going to have to make some mistakes. But start viewing yourself. Find out who's in the mirror so you can fix that person and you can give that woman at least closer to what she really saw in you than what you're giving. All that hanging out with the fellas and, you know, I mean, look, if you learn her, you know what she like, what she don't like, and all this showing out in front of your friends, you know, I'm still a man, I can do what I want to do. Well, you know, can you see yourself without her if she leave? Because sooner or later,
she's going to get tired.
She's going to get tired. And that's a bad feeling. There you go begging her back. And you know you was wrong for taking her down that as far down the road as y'all went. And you never got yourself right. And then as soon as she turned her back, okay, I was playing. I'm ready to do right now. I'm ready to do right now. I'm going to do better. Now you got to beg. I'm saying it don't have to get to that if you just fix what's in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Where you are, the conversation that you're having about sounds like women get to a point where they know enough is enough. So how do you really know when enough is enough? You know, we were speaking on accentuating the positive and not the negative. If you get to a point where there is nothing positive, that's when you know enough is enough. And, you know, this is both of our second marriage. We're not promoting divorce. Like, we clearly want to be married if we did it again. But that doesn't mean, I mean, you know, our first marriages ended for a reason. And sometimes you have to know when enough is enough. And it's not always, you know, wrapped up in a big bow. He cheated, I'm out. She did whatever, she cheated, I'm out. It's not always like that. A lot of people can get past cheating. And stay in a marriage and have a great marriage. That's not the end all be all for some people. But sometimes enough is enough. And when it gets to that point, like you said, you don't have to get to the point where you're begging the other person. Sometimes you could just take accountability for where you are. And I think that if more people did that, it'll be a whole lot better. Like, if you are a person who is afraid to close the door, like my husband said, if you want to keep the door open for the next person, like this person over here, like, she's good, she's got about 75% of all that I need, but it might be a person over here that's got 80 or 88 or 100% of what I need. If you're still looking for that person, it's okay to take accountability and say, look, I don't want to hurt you. I'm not done. I'm not done out here. I'm not ready to settle down. I'm not ready to be monogamous. I think a lot of the problem that women have with men who keep that door open is that they're not honest about the door being open. If you pretend like you're all in, if you tell her you're all in because you want her to be all in, but then you're not all in. You're like 75% over here, but like I said, you still got 25%. Like the door is cracked. You are clearly looking every time you see somebody pass that door to see who is that. Was that Beyonce? Was that her?
Looking through the peephole?
Yeah, looking. You're still looking through the crack trying to see who that is passing by. It's okay to be honest with this person over here and say, I'm not ready. I'm still looking.
Now, don't use those exact words.
You can use those words because the honesty would be so refreshing as opposed to you lying to her and making her believe that you're all in. And I think the part that it would insult me the most is you telling me with your mouth that you're all in. Baby, I love you. I'm never going to do that. You're the only person I want. But I clearly see you doing the opposite. I clearly see you looking at the crack of the door waiting on Beyonce to pass by. I can clearly see it. And I think that's the part that makes so many women bitter, is that y'all think we're stupid. Like, you really think you're being slick. You really think you're getting away with things. And, you know, some men do. Some men are slick. But most of y'all are not. So you will tell the woman, I'm all in, you're all I want. But then your actions say something else. And then when she reacts to your actions, the first thing that you say is, oh, she crazy. Oh, yeah, she crazy. She did this, she did that. She did that because your words and your actions don't match. And she's not stupid. Women's intuition is a real thing. We feel when you're not all in. So you pretending to be all in makes her insecure. It makes her irrational. It can do a lot more damage than if you were to just say, hey, I'm not all in. I'm still out here. I just want to be honest with you. I'm not convinced yet. Those words, yeah, they may hurt, but they don't hurt nearly as much as you convincing her with your words that you're all in when your actions say something different. I think, like I said, taking accountability for where you are is very important. If in your marriage, your wife is ready to have kids and you're not, but clearly you guys are intimate, that is you have to take accountability for that. Like, just telling her you're not ready to have kids, that's not enough. You need to explain why. You have to learn to communicate. You have to be able to say, I don't want to have kids because we're not financially stable, or my dad was abusive and I'm afraid that I'm going to be abusive. Like, if you are just open and honest with your reason for why you're doing the things you do, you'll be surprised how much further you will get and how much closer you and your spouse will be, because they can help you work through things instead of you feeling like, I got to do this by myself. I got to feel this way by myself. You guys are one. One band, one sound. So I feel like when you look at things as one, whatever decisions you're making for your marriage, you'll be considerate of the other person, and you'll be open, like you're not keeping secrets from yourself. Being honest and taking accountability goes a long way. A long way. You have anything else you want to add to that?
No.
All right, well, we'll get to Ask the Amoses. So for Ask the Amoses, I got this off of social media. If you guys want your question answered on the show, send us an email to getalovelikemindepodcast@gmail.com and put Ask the Amoses in the subject line. But today we're reading one from I don't know where I got this from, but it was on social media. Anyway, it says, my husband works and I am a stay-at-home mom. He is the most unselfish person I know. I handle all the finances and he has never said or acted like it was his money. It's our money. Anyway, he is upset with me because he found out I had a bank account he knew nothing about. I've been making money online and keeping it from him. He says that his problem is not that I've been making money online, but that I kept it from him in the event of a divorce someday. He said that women keeping a stash of hidden money in case the marriage fails is like a man keeping a side chick in case the marriage fails. And we both need to be all in or nothing. My mom raised me to have a secret stash that my husband doesn't know about. Is this wrong? Is my husband right? Sometimes when y'all post stuff for social media, I feel like y'all already know the answer. Y'all just want the dialogue. And I get it. That's what we're here for anyway. But to answer your question, your husband is right. Now, the analogy about keeping the side chick, like I said, it's not nice to hear, but it's exactly what I was just talking about, what we were just talking about keeping the door open. You keep the door open because you're not all in. You don't think that this is it. So keeping a secret stash of money, it's one thing to keep a stash of money. Let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with having a savings account. But if the intent or the purpose of the money is not just rainy day money, but I'm leaving him money, that you're wrong. You're wrong for that. And I get that your mom might have told you that, but one thing we have to realize, our parents grew up in a different time. Our parents, my grandmother got married in her teens. Like, she didn't have a formal education. My grandfather made all the money. She had 14 kids, so she pretty much stayed at home with the kids. So her mindset when it comes to managing money and her marriage is going to be a lot different than in 2022. In 2022, you could making money online was not an option for my grandmother. So to say your mom taught you that, yeah, good, your mom taught you that, but that doesn't mean that it applies now. It's almost like washing dishes by hand. Your mom might have taught you to wash dishes by hand, but now you got a dishwasher in the house. That don't mean you got to keep washing dishes by hand, even though a lot of people do. Nothing against it. My point is, just because your mom taught you doesn't mean it was the right thing or the only way to be. Like I said, the purpose of your money, the point, like sometimes people put a savings account for vacation. Like, I'm going to put $100 every pay period in this jar for vacation. So when we go on vacation, this will be our spending money. But you're literally lying to your husband about working, number one, which I'm sure is taken away from your stay-at-home mom time. You know, you're probably supposed to be cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids, but instead you're doing whatever you're doing online. You're putting that money in a jar saying, when I leave him, I'll have this. So if you never leave him, then what are you going to do with the money? Like, I'll let you go because I can go on and on about this.
Well, I mean, you've already said a lot of stuff that I thought anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, there's other detailed questions you could ask to try to help further along the story. But for you to think one way about him saying, "Oh, he's the most unselfish person I know." He just shovels all his money and trusts me to do the right thing with it. And now I'm feeling guilty to the point that I came on social media so I could ask a few people, some of my followers, "Hey, am I tripping? Or is he tripping because he's angry?" Well, a lot of times your answer comes in your asking. If you feel uneasy about it, that's probably your answer right there. For you to be able to say, "He's up here with me and I got a little secret down here that he don't know nothing about," is, that's, I don't know where you think that fits in a marriage, and then blaming it on your mom. Mom taught me how to do this. Well, you don't have to do everything that your mom presented to you. But I mean, I'm almost like you. I could go on and on with the things that I hear or see that's wrong with that. And of course, this is what I don't like about social media and these websites, because we have one called Nextdoor that, there's so many different varieties of people on these sites, right? And I don't care what you ask, you're never going to get across the board the same answer. There's always going to be someone to disagree with you, and there's going to be some that's going to agree with you. And see, I think, to me, that's how this sounds. Like you're asking because you want to hear from the people that agree with you, and you can say, "Well, I wasn't 100%
I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. There's some people here, and God forbid they give you a good reason to do that. Like I do the same thing because,
girl, I did that, and my husband left me with nothing. You keep that money. You did that. That's
or it some kind of way it found a way to come in handy. But the fact is, you're keeping this secret, and he's not keeping secrets with his money. So if it makes you feel guilty, come on now, straighten that out. See, I'll get on the guys, but I didn't get to get on the guys on this one. So it goes both ways, but no, that's never good. That's that crack in the door we was talking about. Like, you leave the door ajar, like, I'm keeping secrets. Hey man, you grown, you do what you want to do, but you want to know, is it right, is it wrong? Okay, yeah, it's wrong.
It's wrong. It's wrong from a man's perspective and a woman's perspective, and a married couple's perspective. That's not. A lot of people. I hate to keep bringing this up, but I'm an attorney, and I see people who want to get a prenup. And a lot of people's opposition to a prenuptial agreement is you're planning for the divorce. That's what they say. You don't think we gonna stay married? Is that what you're thinking? Is that why you want a prenup? You think we gonna get a divorce? Getting a prenup doesn't say I think we're getting a divorce. It's honest. Like, if I come into the marriage with, and I live in Texas where it's a 50-50 state, and I come into the marriage with $100,000, and you come into the marriage with $1,000, and we put our bank accounts together, and then I'm earning $100,000 every year, and you're earning $20,000 every year, and then we get a divorce, and they say I gotta pay you $50,000. Like, I don't think that's fair. So just because I'm saying in this prenup, first of all, a prenup doesn't have to say you get nothing. The prenup could say, I'll give you a nice hefty settlement, but it might not be 50%. Or it might say you take what you came in with. It's more so about your property than about your marriage. Because some prenups expire after a certain amount of time. If the marriage lasts for more than 10 years, then the prenup is null and void. So there's your thing. If you're thinking that they think you're going to get a divorce, then, and you don't get a divorce, then now your prenup means nothing. Now, now what? So I think it's not necessarily that you're thinking your marriage is going to end. You're just being smart and honest. And just like this, if this lady would have been honest and smart with her husband, she could have said, look, I'm putting money aside for a rainy day. She could have told him that. I've been working online. I'm putting money aside. You know, the money you earn pays all the bills, and we have money to do everything else. So, and he might have said, fine, put that up. Just put it in a savings account. Make it for the child's college fund or whatever.
Was anywhere in there where she explained what it was for, or did she own? She said that she learned this from her mom.
She specifically said, if the marriage ends, my mom raised me to have a secret stash that my husband doesn't know about. Wait a minute. Here it is. I've been making money online, but that I kept it from him in the event of a divorce someday.
So now she doesn't feel confident enough to be honest and open and say, hey, there's some stash here in case we don't make it, because that's going to open up one heck of a can of worms in his eyesight. So
it might not, though. That's what I'm saying. You have to take accountability. Be honest. Quit blaming other people for what you're doing and how you're feeling. Just be honest and say, hey, my mom told me I need to put money up. Your husband might say, okay, my mom told me the same thing. I'm going to put some up too. And then when you don't get a divorce 20 years from now, you can throw a big lavish party with the money that you've been putting up, a 20-year vow renewal or whatever. But be honest with what you're doing. You don't have to keep secrets. You shouldn't keep secrets from your spouse. You guys are one. You are one. So you're hiding money from yourself? Because when we said if you have that one mindset, it's hard for the devil to come in and divide you. But this mindset that you have, it's going to be easy for the devil to come in and separate you, because you're already separating stuff.
You just made a pathway for him. So that's about it for this second episode. Now, coming back next week, since we ended on a little Ask the Amoses about finances, our third episode on this topic will be based heavily on finance and money. So don't want to miss that one. I enjoy doing what we do because I get to spend time with my wife, but money is one of those things I wish that churches and marriage counseling, I just wish there was more education relationship wise, because of course I've seen this a million times. The two biggest things that cause divorce: sex
and
money. So next week we will be focusing on money, so don't miss it.
All right. If you're not already following us, make sure you go and do that. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Get a Love Like Mine podcast. Again, if you want your question answered on the show, send an email to getalovelikemindepodcast@gmail.com and put Ask the Amoses in the subject line. Or you can go to our social media page and send us a DM, or if you click on the link in our bio, you can send the email straight from there.
Send me something hard. Send me something hard that you think I can't answer.
I don't think we said this, but I think it's important. When we were talking about ways to make your spouse's life better, pray together.
I dare you.
Pray together.
Just try it.
I shared something today on my social media. I saw it and I was like, I gotta share this. It said, when you don't feel like praying, force yourself, because it's something forcing you not to pray. So we pray that you guys have great marriages, learn to communicate and see each other as one, and pray that you have a good week. Happy Sunday.